Okay, gentlemen, I think we are recording. Anyway, it's going to be a review of your week 10 quiz on safety. Yeah, I'm spending a lot of time on safety because let's face it, you don't want to spend like 5 years doing an apprenticeship and learning how to be an electrician, another 5 years till where you're really good. I mean, it takes you about 10 years to be good. You get out, you get in as apprentice. And then once you take your state test, you think you know everything till you go out. They start sending you out on your own. You find out there's a lot you don't know. It takes about 10 years to be really confident where you can go anywhere and do anything. It's not that you're not smart. Some of you guys might be saying, oh, I'm freaking smart. I can do it in 5 years. Well, it ain't a matter of you being smart. It's a matter of you getting experience on different things. Like a lot of guys, they can't do traffic signals, not because they're not smart, they just never done one before. So if they had some experience doing one, then they could do one. But so you can work for different shops, or you work for a shop that does a lot of different kind of work. That will be to your benefit, especially if you work for a shop that does a lot of different kinds of stuff. Everything from residential, commercial, industrial, traffic signals, bridges, whatever. If you can get all that, you get a job anywhere after that. Or actually work for a shop like that, you're probably going to stay there forever unless they mistreat you or you mistreat them. Anyway, another reason safety is important is according to OSHA, there are 5,000 people a year that get killed on the job. 5,000. Now, I don't know. That's a heck of a way to die at work, but out of that 5,000, about 20% of them, which should be about 1,000, are on construction sites. So you can figure that comes to about 100 a week or 14 people a day. And this isn't getting injured. This is getting killed dead. Again, you're out. You're out of this world completely. You ain't coming back unless there's reincarnation. Who knows? The point is a lot of people get hurt. Again, you might be one of those people that think, oh, I'm too smart. I follow all my safety rules. I do everything I'm supposed to do. I pay attention. That's good, but never underestimate the stupidity of other people. Uh, you know, Somebody can leave a hole open, and you could freaking fall in it, or wires hanging down that are hot, and you didn't. I mean, there's just all kinds of booby traps, freaking other people who are idiots who aren't paying attention to safety. There's these booby traps they can set for you on the job. Yeah, you got to pay attention. You got to be smart. But man, sometimes, like they say, shit just happens. So, all right. Before we go on, let's review a couple some terminology from last week, just so you guys know what I'm talking about in case you forgot. PPE is personal protection equipment. This will be a term that's always thrown around on construction jobs nowadays. PPE, everybody will know what it is. So you need to know what it is too. Personal protection equipment. Again, we'll go over that, what it means. OSHA, you should know OSHA is not something to be messed with. You need to follow their rules, period. Every company's going to want you to, not only for your safety, but because they can get fined big time if you don't. So OSHA, it means Occupational Safety and Health Administration. So OSHA means Occupational Safety and Health Administration. You don't really need to know that. Everybody knows what OSHA is. Nobody calls it by the long name, but just so you know. According to OSHA, the 4 ways that people get killed, they have a nickname for it called the Fatal 4, is the number 1 way people get freaking killed is falling off of something, falling off a ladder, falling off the roof, falling into a hole, just falling. And so you're going to find that that's one of the things they take most seriously, because that's how most people get killed, is by falling. It's the number 1 cause of death in construction. The other one is getting struck by an object. Um, people moving cranes around, swinging stuff, swinging loads. Could be a truck, could be a great all. I got hit by a forklift one time at Graf Knutson, and man, that was quite the experience. I was stepped back to kind of look at my pipe rack, and guy was running through there with a bunch of milk cartons, and he was going backwards and hit me. And I tell you what, that forklift did not give one tiny bit. It felt like I got hit by a huge piece of concrete. I just freaking flew. I was okay. I was sore for a while, but hey, my fault. Should have looked where I was going. Forklift guy's fault. He should look where he was going, but it's one of those things. I mean, things happen and you got to pay attention. Number two is two is struck by an, we got falls. Number one, struck by an object. Number two, and since this is an electrical class, the third way of getting killed is getting electrocuted. Now, you would think getting electrocuted would be pretty easy to avoid. You know what I mean? Just don't touch any hot wires. The problem is you're using the power tools all the time. They could be, they could have a short or something, and that cord could be bad. The little ground prong could be broken off. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. You get people getting in panels, turning stuff on that ain't supposed to be on, and it energizes. Since it's not supposed to be on because it's not finished, it could energize like pipes, water pipes. It could air conditioning duct. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to get electrocuted, and some of that is just it could just get you. I mean, how do you know like a water pipe is gonna electrocute you? But that kind of stuff does happen. But number fourth is getting caught in stuff or crushed or pulled in stuff. This is one of the reasons they don't want you wearing like loose clothing. It's one of the reasons I don't like gloves. We'll go over that here later. But you get caught or crushed in stuff, in pieces of machinery, getting sucked in, smashed. I had a friend in high school was running a rotor tiller off the back of a tractor, PTO. It got a big old rock stuck in it. And so he got off the tractor, didn't engage the PTO, but the thing wasn't turning anymore. So he got off to see why. And then he saw there was a big rock stuck in there. So he freaking kicked it out of the way, and it grabbed his pants and started turning, sucked him in there, and chewed the bottom half of his body off all the way up to his waist before it stopped again. So anyway, gotta pay attention. There's another guy, electrician. He went out. It was a cotton gin, and they took the cotton, out of the trailers. They smashed it in those big giant bales, and so he went out there, and it was Christmas time, so he's in a hurry to get home. This thing wasn't working right, so he's messing around with it. He crawls inside of it, and he goes, I wonder if it's just the limit switch. And so he checked the limit switch to see if it was operating, and that sucker turned on like there was cotton in there to freaking smashed him. So, man, you got to be careful. Thinking back on it, it's now that I'm retired, I thank God that I lived through working in construction for close to 40 years. So anyway, so the fatal four: number one, falls; number two, getting struck by an object; number three, getting electrocuted; number four, getting caught between something or crushed. And so you need to pay attention. You don't get in between stuff. What can get you? You always need to be looking like something can get you. So I want to boil it down to four things. I think the four things, this is just my deal here. The four things are going to keep you safer than most people. And number one is you're going to need to be thinking about stuff all the time. Like what can get you? What possibly could go wrong? You don't want to be one of those people just walking around like in a daze. I mean, I hate to say it, but some people are, hitting a blunt before they come to work, and they're just kind of walking around, and those are the kind of people that get killed or end up killing you if they're operating equipment. Which brings me to number 2 is paying attention. You need to be paying attention to what's around you. Like when I got hit with a forklift, that was freaking my fault. So you need to pay attention. You need to be thinking what can get you. Pay attention to your surroundings. Number 3 would be following the safety rules, the policy, the training that your company puts you through, or even the ones I'm telling you now. Follow these rules. Unless following them puts you in more danger than not following them. That's the only excuse for not following a safety rule. Sometimes there's extenuating circumstances that being safe, following the rule will make it more dangerous. That's the only time you cannot do it. But even then, you better be sure and check it out with your foreman, whoever you're working with. Number 4 is PPE. Properly using it. I mean, obviously, if you're not wearing safety glasses, you're not wearing your hard hat, that's not going to help you. But wearing your safety glasses on the back of your head and your hard hat backwards like a gangster, that ain't going to help you either. So that's the 4 things. You need to think what can get you, pay attention to your surroundings, follow the safety rules, and properly use your PPE. Now, the 4 kinds of PPE that is required on every single construction site. There's a lot of PPE that's required. Like if you're cutting or something, you might need a dust mask. Or if you're working with some kind of chemicals, you might need a face shield and gloves. Or you might even need a rubber bib. I mean, who knows? But no matter what, when you walk on a construction site nowadays, there are 4 things you will always need. No matter what. Number 1, you need to show up in proper clothing, boots, long pants, and a shirt with some sleeves. So you don't be having your pants hanging down the crack of your ass where like if you had to run to get out of the way of like a forklift coming or something, your pants are going to fall down around your knees and you're going to face plant. I mean, I have seen that. I've seen that happen. It was some funny stuff, man. It was funny. The guy didn't get hurt, but oh man, it was funny. So wear your clothes properly and make sure they're not all loose and baggy to where it can your clothes can grab you and suck you into machinery or power tools. The other thing, hard hat. Every job's going to need a hard hat, not a bump cap. Bump caps are for like food processing factories. If you're in construction, you need a real hard hat. Those bump caps are kind of like a batting helmet. They're kind of thin plastic. So you need a hard hat. Safety glasses. They want you to have safety glasses at all times on your freaking eyeballs. They don't want them anywhere else. So they're really big on safety glasses. The other thing you're going to need is a safety vest or visible clothing. They're going to give you a safety vest. It's either bright green, bright orange. I mean, if you show up in a bright green, bright orange t-shirt, they might do that instead. Especially in summertime, you don't want to be wearing a shirt and a vest. So if you can get a bright green safety t-shirt or bright orange, that'll work. However, if you're working at night, you're going to need to have some reflective tape on it, which most t-shirts don't have that. So you have to wear a vest. So the 4 things you're going to need for every construction site: proper clothing, proper clothing, period. I already told you what they are. You're going to need a hard hat, safety glasses, and you're going to need some kind of visible vest or t-shirt so people can see you. And just again, these guys are sticklers nowadays on safety glasses. They want them on at all times. Now, you might be a person that doesn't see too good, like me. I got my dollar glasses. I buy them 20 at a time at the dollar store, but so I don't wear them all the time. I just wear them to see my notes and to read and stuff. But anyway, long story short, if you're a person that wears glasses all the time, you're going to either have to wear some goggles, or they might let you get by with a face mask. But the best way to do it is go to your doctor, and you can get prescription glasses that are safety glasses. They have to have an ANSI rating, an ANSI rating, ANSI. So they have to be rated to take an object so they don't shatter and glass and stuff goes in your eye. So contact lenses, I wouldn't recommend those for electrician. We had a guy here in our local he wouldn't wear his safety glasses. He had his contacts on and a panel blew up on him and it melted his contact lenses to his eyeballs. So I don't know if he lost his eyesight or what happened, but that's the story I got. High def situations, say, from what I understand, is a contact lenses will really irritate your eyes. So, however, let me make this clear. Just because you need contacts or prescription glasses, that doesn't give you a get out of jail free card for wearing safety glasses. They ain't gonna put up with it. They want you to wear safety glasses. So you're gonna have to find a way. And there is a way because there are a lot of people wear glasses. So that's not an excuse anybody's going to tolerate. They're not going to accept that for a reason. Another thing is safety glasses. A lot of, it used to be if you wore safety glasses, you could like cut stuff with a grinder or whatever. Nowadays, any cutting that you're doing, they want you to wear a face shield in addition to your safety glasses. If you're cutting with a grinder, or if you're grinding, it's really not cutting, but grinding is the same thing. Crap, I work for a company that even when you're running the pipe threader, because it was cutting threads in the pipe, they wanted you to wear a face shield. Now, I never had one of those freaking threads fly out and hit me. I mean, they just kind of curl up and fall off in the pan, but hey, you get these safety guys, a lot of these safety guys nowadays have never worked in construction. And so that when they read, you have to wear a face mask in addition to safety glasses whenever you're cutting, then they take it literally, cutting threads. And you can argue with them till the cows come home that you don't need to wear a safety face mask over your safety glasses. And they don't care because to them it says cutting and you're cutting. So don't rely on a lot of your safety managers having any common sense. The bottom line is safety's up to you. You got to go by their rules, even if they're dumb, but don't go by them if they're going to get you hurt. But you got to go by them. So you got to go by what they say. And that's just it. Even if they don't make sense, the only exception, like I said, if it's going to get you hurt, you don't want to do that. Two kinds of hearing protection. I'm about deaf because I've worked construction my whole life. Drove a lot of Jeeps with no glass packs and no mufflers, shot a lot of guns. I am about deaf. My students, I have to teach them the first day, hey, you got to yell at me if you want me to hear you. I don't know how many times they say, well, Chuck, I told you didn't hear me. Well, I said, I told you I was deaf. You better yell. So, because when I started the trade, they didn't hand out any hearing protection. But nowadays, they will always give you as many earplugs as you want. But when I started, I don't think they even had earplugs. They'd have to special order them back in the day. But I kind of wish I would. Hey, you know the saying, if I would have known I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. So you guys, take care of your hearing, take care of your eyes. They got to last you your whole life. So you got earplugs, what most people use. If it's super loud, super loud, you can wear some earmuffs. They make a noise canceling earmuff. Those things are really cool. I've used them for shooting, but, or you can wear both. You can wear earplugs and earmuffs. You don't want to walk around the whole job with earplugs and earmuffs in. You only use them if it's noisy, because if you're walking around not able to hear what's going on around you, you're a danger to yourself and to other people, mainly to yourself. People can be yelling at you, hey, get out of the way, and you don't even hear them. This is another thing. People got their phones and they got all their songs on there and they got their earbuds in. They can't hear crap that's going on around them. Those people can get hurt. Personally, when I was a foreman, I didn't really like guys doing that because they spend too much time messing around with it, getting their songs. But I understand. So I would let people go ahead and do it. But I told them, hey, just one earbud. I don't want both of them in because now I see it as a safety violation because you're not paying attention to your surroundings. You don't know what's going on, or you could hear a loud something could be falling, through 3 stories full of crap, and you don't even hear it because you're listening to whatever you're listening to. So I just recommend if you're going to do it, and your foreman lets you, is like he's fine with it, just put one earbud in so you can hear what's going on around. Uh, as far as jewelry, I mean, a lot of people wear jewelry nowadays. I would recommend just taking it off, especially rings. Rings will get you hurt faster than anything. They get caught like on a bolt or something. Something's getting ready to slam down, and you get ready to pull your hand out, and that ring catches it. Like you're stuck. You just got smashed. So, or it can grab you and pull you in. Same thing with long chains, long hair. If you got long hair, not too many people do nowadays, but women in the trade, they need to take that hair and they put it up underneath their hard hat. Same thing if you're a dude, you got a ponytail, put it up under your hard hat. You don't want your hair getting you sucked into stuff. So you can wear gloves. Gloves, I'm kind of like this on gloves. I never wore gloves unless I had a reason to wear gloves. I work with something super sharp or concrete, it's got chemicals in it that will burn your hands. And so they recommend rubber gloves. Rubber gloves will make your hands sweat, which ain't a big deal. I didn't really care for it, but I like my hands getting tough and hard. That way, I don't know, I just felt like I could work better. And plus every girlfriend ever had, they like the rough hands. They don't want your hands to be softer than theirs. But so I noticed when I worked for one company, made me wear gloves, and because it was like their company policy, everybody had to wear gloves. So I did what they said, but I tell you what, I started getting carpal tunnel, and so I quit wearing my gloves, and it went away. And the only thing I could think of is with the gloves, I was able to apply a lot more pressure with my hands, and that was causing me to overstress all my tendons. So I just throw that out there in case some of you guys start having, when you get older, some carpal tunnel or something. That might be it. It might be gloves. But so gloves, they're made to protect your hands. They can also be dangerous. If they're loose, they can get caught just like a ring or something else. So you're going to have to figure that out for yourself. Speaking of figuring stuff out for yourself, let me talk a little bit about boots. You need to wear some sort of a boot on the job. And from personal experience, I would tell you, find something that you like and stick with it. In other words, basically they have, a couple combinations of boots. You've got lace-up boots and pull-on boots. You have slick bottom boots, and you got boots with with the big lugs on it, like a Vibram sole. All of them are good. There's nothing wrong with any of them. What's wrong is when you start switching from one to the other, it'll catch you by surprise. For instance, if you have a slick bottom boot and you're used to it, and you know when you're going to slide and when you're not, you can kind of slide down something and jump off, maybe jump over a trench or whatever. That's fine. But then if you switch to a boot with lugs on the bottom and you're expecting to slide and you don't, it's going to hang you up and face plant you. Same thing if you're used to boots with lugs on the bottom, and all of a sudden you go to a slick bottom. Well, you might slip where you didn't ever slip before. So figure out what kind you like, and I would say just stick with it. Either is good. I ended up going with a slick bottom. I used to wear the lugs. I went with a slick bottom because I moved in a spot where there's lots of clay, and I had clay in my truck. I had clay in the house. I had clay everywhere. So, but that's the only reason. Both of them are good. Lace ups versus slip on. I'll give you the pros and cons of those. Lace up supposed to give you ankle support. But the problem with ankle support is your ankles are always supported. So your ankles never get strong. They're always relying on that support. So, that's a toss up. So maybe it keeps you from twisting your ankle, or maybe your ankles get weak. And so when you're on the weekend in your tennis shoes, then you twist your ankle. So, which reminds me, I'm going to get on an offshoot about reporting injuries. You need to report every tiny little injury to your foreman. He doesn't need to you don't need to make a case out of it. He doesn't need to fill out a pick and form for everyone, but he needs to know that you got hurt on the job. So if you're that guy who wearing lace-up boots and your ankles get weak and you're out playing baseball the weekend or basketball, freaking twist your ankle. And then you come on Monday morning and say, hey, I got hurt. I twisted my ankle, or Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning. He doesn't know if that ever happened. Hold on a second. I'm in the middle of making a YouTube video right now. So can you guys come back?
Okay, all right.
So anyway, sorry for that interruption. You got to report every single injury, because that way your foreman needs to know, hey, that happened on the job and that didn't happen at home. Because a lot of guys, especially with back injuries, people will say, oh, I hurt my back, and they want to go on workman's comp and, get paid while they're off and go to the doctor and all that stuff. Well, that costs the company money. That's another mark against their, incident reports to OSHA. They don't want that. And so they're going to look at you like, if you didn't tell them, like, yeah, how do I know that you didn't do that last night? They don't know. So that's the reason for reporting it. And it's not really for any other reason that they know that you did that on the job. That is important. And that covers your own butt, because otherwise the company can deny it and say, no, he was fine when he left work yesterday. He didn't say nothing to us. So he must have done that at home. So report every tiny injury, even like a little cut, or if you stepped on a nail. You don't want to go to the doctor or nothing, that's fine. Sometimes they'll make you go. But the point is even a little thing can turn into a big thing if it gets infected. So, let's see. I kind of got sidetracked there. I guess they want me to sign some picking cards, or probably some Halloween stupid stuff. But anyway, those ladies, they come around wanting you jump through all these hoops. Okay, speaking of injuries, let's see. Did I finish the boots, or something else I wanted to say? Oh, slip-on boots. Slip-on boots were designed by cowboys. And the reason is, you get hung up in your stirrup, rather you getting drugged and run over by your horse, for a half a mile because your foot's stuck in there. The idea is your boot's supposed to slide off. So, that might be something you think about. If you ever get your foot stuck in something, hopefully, if you have lace-on boots, it's going to suck you in. If you don't, it'll pull your boot off. So, it's just things to think about. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just kind of giving you guys some information that's really normally not out there. I mean, people don't talk about this stuff a whole lot, but it could potentially save your life or save you from getting injured, talking about the boot stuff. Okay, speaking of injuries, about every single company right now has a drug and alcohol program or policy or something. And it shouldn't be no surprise to you. You cannot be coming to the job under the influence of anything. And sometimes that could be even prescription medication, especially if you're running equipment like a scissor lift, a forklift, a great awl, a crane. Doesn't matter if it's legal or not. You got to have your wits about you. So a lot of companies have a drug and alcohol program. If you get addicted or something like that, they'll help you out. But I'll tell you one thing that will not help you out. If you're trying to get by with it, and if you're trying to get by with it, a lot of companies, when they hire you, almost every company does a drug test. But even after you're hired, a lot of them will do random drug tests. They could just get you anytime. Say, hey, go down here and pee in the bottle, and they check you out. So the important thing is, this is what I want to get across to you. This is super serious. Not that the other isn't, but this is way serious. Yeah. Excuse me. I've been talking all day. If there is an accident that involves an injury, it doesn't even have to be yourself, it could be somebody else, and it's reported, it's a mandatory drug test. And they will check and see if you're under the influence of drugs or alcohol. So you might not care about that, except the ramifications of that are they can fire you instantly, and workman's comp doesn't have to pay you a dime. For those of you who don't know what workman's comp is you get hurt on the job, your company has been paying workman's compensation this whole time. And what it is, it's like insurance. Well, it is insurance. And so if you get hurt on the job, the company will pay for you to go to the doctor. Of course, they get to choose your doctor. And then if your doctor says that you have to stay home and be off of work for a certain amount of time, then workman's comp will pay a certain percentage of what you were making. I think it's fairly high. I don't know what it is now. It's up around, I think 70-80% of what you usually make. That way you don't lose your house or your car. You can kind of keep up on your bills. So every employer should have that, unless you're working for cash under the table. That's a good reason not to. But you're insured. So if you get hurt on the job, they'll pay for your doctor expenses, pay all your doctor bills, and then pay you while you're off. Unless they find out you're under the influence of drugs or alcohol, then they can just fire your ass, and that's it. I mean, you got no money coming in, and you got to pay your own doctor bills because it was all your fault, and you knew. They're like zero tolerance for that, and you don't want to be in that situation. It's like, especially, you got no money coming in, so you're trying to find another job, and you're injured, so you really can't work anyway. But now you can't even put down your last employer because you were on drugs, and that's why they fire you on drugs, and you run somebody over and hurt them or killed them. How are you going to get another job? You're just going to have to pretend like you never worked for that company. But just don't put yourself in that situation. And my 2 cents is, most jobs you work 8 hours a day, maybe some 10. If you cannot go 8 hours or 10 hours without freaking drugs or alcohol, you got a freaking problem. And you might as well admit that, and you need to get that taken care of. However, drugs and alcohol, personal choice, up to you guys. I would save it for like maybe Saturdays. Sober up on Sunday and go to work on Monday. I don't know. But I'm just saying, if you can't go 8 hours without drinking or doing drugs, you're an addict and you need help. And I'm just trying to, if anybody's listening to this might be God talking to you. Okay. I'm telling you, you don't want to be in a situation where you end up killing somebody or maiming somebody or even yourself. And, so anyway, enough drug and alcohol policies. Again, approximately 1,000 construction workers get killed every year. That averages about 3 a day. So, and a third of those get killed from falls. Okay, now what is a fall hazard? A fall hazard is basically, it doesn't matter if it's a ladder, a roof, the side of a building, a trench, a hole, anything over 6 feet. If you go and you're at the bottom of your feet is on a ladder higher than 6 feet, that's a fall hazard. wherever there is a fall hazard, you have to use fall protection. Fall protection will either be a harness with a lanyard, maybe hooked to a yo-yo, or just a, you know, a lanyard as a kind of a rope or a strap that hooks to something right where you're working. Or if you're working on flat ground and or on a roof, like, or the side of the building doesn't have the walls on it yet, they could put a barricade up there. It has to be at least 42 inches high. It could be cable, it could be wood. Can't be all flimsy. If you lean against it, you fall off. That's even worse. That's like faking people out. So it needs to be, you know, something strong that's at least 42 inches high that'll keep you from accidentally falling off the roof. There, I worked at another place, Graf Knudsen. A guy, there was an HVAC guy. He stood up, was working on the unit. He stood up and he backed up like this, tripped over a pipe, didn't catch his balance, went off the edge of the roof. It was about, 15 to 20 feet, concrete down there. Head hit the concrete, popped open like a cantaloupe, and he's no longer with us. He's freaking dead. And I'm sure his wife and his family aren't real happy about that, but it's just that simple. 1 second, everything's fine. Next second, you're freaking dead. And it could be just something as simple as standing up and taking a couple steps back. That's all that happened. Anyway, okay. We talked a little bit about falling. Let's talk about holes. Holes in the ground. Holes in the ground. If you're not working in that hole, it has to be covered, has to be marked with a flag or barricaded or both. You just got to make it so people can't accidentally fall into it. And you can't cover it with a freaking piece of cardboard. You're making a booby trap. You need to cover it with something that's going to take, you know, probably twice the weight of a man. And then, okay, so you cover it with a piece of plywood. That's fine. But you don't mark it. And a guy's driving a great all with a load of lumber, let's say, and his wheel goes over that plywood because you didn't mark it. You tip the whole thing over, and that plywood, that wood falls and kills somebody else. I mean, it's got to be marked and it's got to be covered. So, trenches. I'm not going to go into all the details on trenches because you need to have like competent person training for that. You need to know soil types and everything else. But let me tell you this much you need to know. You cannot absolutely under any circumstances go down in a trench deeper than 5 feet because it can collapse on you and kill you. The only way you can go into a trench that's 5 feet or deeper is the sides have to be stair-stepped or sloped. And there's a formula for that. And the guy who's digging it should know all that. And there should be somebody competent there that will, you know, decide all that. Your foreman should know that. Depends a lot on the soil. There are different formulas like how much slope you need. So there needs to be, if there's no slope, there needs to be bracing in there. So they make steel bracing, they lower in, you can get in there, do your work. They dig some more, they lower that bracing in there. It keeps the sides from collapsing. You do your work and you just keep moving and they backfill behind. So bracing and sloping is the only way you can get in a trench deeper than 5 feet. Otherwise, don't do it. A lot of people die. They get down there working away and all of a sudden that trench just collapses on them. They suffocate. And it's hard to dig somebody out. You can't get in there with a big backhoe and start digging them out. You know, you pull their freaking head off. So you got to get in there by hand, digging around. And that, I mean, if it takes more than 5 minutes, that person's suffocated. They're dead. So yeah, you don't think it can kill you, but it can. Let's just talk about some typical safety stuff you should know. Anytime you lift something, you should lift with your legs, keep your back straight. Even when you lower it too. I mean, let's say you pick something up that's already 4 feet high and it's super freaking heavy and you're okay, you're going along there and you use your back to lower it down. Well, maybe your back is not strong enough to handle that much weight. And all of a sudden now you're off work for 2 weeks or maybe you hurt yourself for life. There's a lot of guys with fused spines and everything else because they did one little thing stupid like that. So use your legs, not your back. Um, when you're using power tools or equipment, there's two things you should always do. Number one is no matter what you use, you should check and see if it's damaged. I don't care if it's a scissor lift or a ladder, a power tool, whatever it is, because it's usually the stuff that's broke that will get you hurt. Like let's say you pick up a skill saw and you're relying there. Hey, true story. There's a guy, he was using a skill saw and he was cutting like this, and he would cut and then he put that saw down on his leg every time because it had a little guard that would flip and guard the blade from his leg. And he'd pull that board, he'd make another cut, set it down, and that's what he was doing. Well, something happened. Either that spring broke or something got stuck in there and that guard didn't come down. That blade sliced right into his leg down to his bone. So don't rely 100% on any safety stuff. Just figure it's going to break. So like that guy shouldn't have been relying on that guard to clip back every time. Because that's the part about thinking. You might think like, well, what happens if something gets stuck in there and that guard doesn't come back or that spring? So anyway, check for damage on anything before you use it, especially ladders. The ladders are the worst thing. The fiberglass ones, it's usually what they use now. They will get fracture cracks in them and be wobbly, or the latch will be broke or something. And that's a booby trap. Again, it's your responsibility to pay attention and check for that stuff. Now, if you're making any kind of adjustments on tools, make sure you turn the pick and power off. So you're not in there putting a new blade on something and all of a sudden you accidentally hit the trigger and it comes on, cut your fingers off. Speaking about electricity, if you're on a construction job and there is no power or the power's off for some reason, there might be a reason the power's off. Don't get in there and start flipping breakers. There's no telling who you could kill because you don't know. That stuff's off for a reason. Now, if it might have tripped or something, get the electrician, get him over there. He knows, it's his job to know what is safe to turn on and what is not safe to turn on. Now, they have a lot of lockout, tag out procedures. We'll go over that when you guys get back, when we're done with this COVID crap. And I'll really show you how to do that. We might do a little bit on that next week. I don't know if I want to do that on Zoom or not, but because I have all the locks and the tags so we can go through it and show you how to do stuff. But don't be relying on other people to lock out, tag out stuff. You don't know who that other guy is. He might be a crackhead. You just got hired last week and you're relying on him for your life. And it's not worth it. You take care of yourself. Fire extinguishers, a word about fire extinguishers. This is something simple. The most important thing you should know about fire extinguishers is where in the hell are they at? If you don't know where they're at, you can't use them. So it doesn't mean you get on a job and you go around and find every fire extinguisher. But when you're working, kind of pay attention. Like if you see one, remember in your mind, hey, there's a fire extinguisher there. Housekeeping, the leading cause of injuries from tripping, is housekeeping. People leaving crap all over the job. So if you ever been on a construction job, there is stuff everywhere. And the general contractor is always on everybody's butt to clean everything up. It's a constant ongoing thing. Some contractors nowadays, general contractors, they will say, look, we will take care of the housekeeping, but they're going to charge every subcontractor, a fee for it. Those jobs are usually nice and clean. The bad part is sometimes they throw away the stuff they think is scrap and it really isn't scrap. But so even then you got to do your own housekeeping by keeping your stuff that you want to save and use separate from the trash. So either way, housekeeping is important nowadays. Let's see here. Just to reiterate, your employer provides your PPE except for your clothing. It must be appropriate for whatever hazard you're working with. It must be properly maintained in a good working order, and it must be sanitary. That's just three things right there. So PPE that your employer gives you must be appropriate for whatever you're doing. It must be, it can't be broke, all messed up. It needs to be good working order. It needs to be sanitary. You don't want a hard hat, with the insert in there, and it's got that oil and from somebody else's head all built up on there because they've been wearing it for the last 6 months. So usually employers are pretty good about that. They give you hard hats, and safety glasses are not that expensive. They just buy them in bulk and they hand them out almost like candy. But if you're the guy always forgetting your safety glasses and hard hat, it's going to be a problem. Matter of fact, it's so much of a problem that we had a pink hard hat. Anybody who forgot their hard hat, they got to wear the pink hard hat all day. Everybody knew that was the idiot that kept forgetting his hard hat, the guy in the pink one. And it was bright pink. So that kind of limited people forgetting their hard hats. They started paying attention after they had to wear the pink one for a while. You can supply your own PPE if you want. For instance, like, eyewear, hard hat, vest, whatever. But 2 conditions have to be met. Number 1, any piece of PPE that you supply for yourself has to be ANSI, ANSI rated, for appropriate for the job that you're doing. And this is important, your employer must approve it. So you need to go to your foreman or whoever, say, hey, can I use this instead? Because the other stuff don't fit me, or whatever reason you got. The reason they have to approve it, because it goes back to the workman's comp deal. If you get hurt on the job, they're paying insurance. It goes against their record. And so they need to approve the safety gear that you're using. It only makes sense because they're on the hook for it. They're liable for it by letting you use your own stuff. So you need to get their permission. If it's and the bad thing is you don't want to get a guy to put something in writing, because he probably won't do it. And then if something did happen, he'd probably deny it. So I don't know. You're better, unless it's absolute, just use the stuff they give you. It's the best way to do it. Talk about respirators real quick, just so you guys know. Every employer will have dust masks. They should. They're just for dust. Like these things, they're wearing them for COVID nowadays, and that COVID is a lot smaller than a piece of dust. It'll just go right through. So they're not made for COVID. They're made for dust. And so if you actually wanted to wear something for COVID, you would use a APR. It's an air purifying respirator. And it needs to be designed. They have little filters, canisters that go in there. And you look up, what you're trying to protect yourself for. It'll tell you how many microns, how big it is. And then the filter will have little, holes or perforations in it, smaller than whatever it is you're trying to protect yourself from. This is why these masks, these dust masks for COVID are kind of funny for the people who, I guess it keeps people from spitting on each other when they're talking. I mean, I guess there's a good reason for that, but stuff coming out. So, but they're not going to, just so you know, they're not going to protect you from you breathing it in. The other kind is an ASR. It's an air supplied respirator. This is when you're working around like toxic gas, or there's no oxygen, maybe going down in a manhole and you check for oxygen, there's no oxygen. It's actually like a freaking space suit helmet thing. You have an oxygen tank and you just breathing that fresh air out of the oxygen tank. You're not purifying nothing. You're just breathing that fresh air. So again, you have dust masks, you have APRs, which are air purifying respirators, and you have ASRs, which is a air supplied respirator. So again, it depends what you're doing, what you need. One thing I forgot is about boots. Back to boots again. Electricians, they can't have any metal in their boots. So no steel toe boots, no boots with nails in the heels. I don't know. I don't think they do that too much anymore, but some of your boots do. I think maybe Justin Boots still puts nails up in the heels. So because these are conductive materials and they can get you electrocuted. Now, if your company is demanding you wear not a steel toe, but a hard toe boot. They do make them in fiberglass. You know, your PG&E guys, Edison, your linemen and stuff, you know, a lot of those guys will wear that fiberglass toed boot. So let me go over my notes here. I think I pretty much covered everything. I don't know how long I've been going on here, probably too long. Oh, yeah, I think I got just about everything. Skipped around. One thing I might want to say is real quick about safety glasses. They have safety glasses that are sunglasses. As a matter of fact, here's right here. These are safety glasses. They're ANSI rated. I buy them at the welding shop. I think I pay about $3 a piece for them. Buy them 10 at a time. They're a lot cheaper than sunglasses, and I freaking look cool in them. So anyway, bottom line is these are shaded. They're good for working out in the sun. They're not good for welding. So you need a welding, like if you're doing oxygen acetylene, which a lot of people don't do anymore, but they do use cutting torches. I guess everybody uses plasma torches nowadays. The point is the shade rating has to be rated for what you're doing. Like oxygen acetylene, they're not as dark, but you don't want to take oxygen acetylene and try to arc weld with them. You burn your retinas, you burn your eyeballs up. You don't want to do that at all. So make sure your eyes got to last you your whole life. Use the proper colored, the proper shade rating for whatever you're doing. If you're arc welding or if you're oxygen acetylene. Now they do make clear glasses. They make these like sunglasses for outside. They make one that's called an in and out. I really like that. If you're walking in and out of buildings, they're kind of halfway between outside and clear, you know, halfway between shaded and clear. So they don't change colors by themselves. So anyway, so gentlemen and ladies, that is all the stuff that's going to be on your test, on your week 10 quiz. So you should be good to go. If you listen to this video, I have given you all the answers. You have no excuse other than to get an absolute straight A. And if I can get one thing across to you about safety, that's the most important thing. Is the bottom line is safety depends on you. They can make all the rules they want, give you all the equipment you want. But if you're going to not think about stuff and not pay attention, if you're going to be stupid about it, if you're not going to use it, you're going to get yourself or somebody else hurt. Even if you decide to follow every single rule there is, use every single kind of PP there is, you're absolutely a perfect angel. That's not going to keep you from getting hurt if you're not paying attention and not thinking about stuff. So really, safety, if you ask me, safety is in your head. It's right here. It's right here in your head and in your heart. It needs to be something that you take serious, and you're always looking like what might get you. I tell you the truth, if you're up in the mountains in a grizzly country, like you're up in Alaska, you're going to be thinking about those freaking bears. If you're going through these foothills up here, you're going to be thinking about rattlesnakes. And if you're not, then you're one of the guys who are going to get eaten or bit. Construction sites are no different. There is stuff out there to get you. And most of the time, it's other stupid people leaving nails sticking up in boards and stuff. But anyway, again, safety's up to you. So it depends entirely on you. Be safe. All right, over and out, gentlemen. You have a good day. Bye.